Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the perfect 2016 World Team Table Tennis Championships. We're here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I'm Adam Bobrow, and with me, Jill Parker. How you doing, Jill?
I'm very well, thank you. You, Adam?
I'm good. I enjoyed that first match. Got to see a defender much like yourself, Seo Won, take the first. And right now, we've got Lee Ho-Ching on screen. You can see 23 years old, currently world rank number 22, had a very strong German Open, the last tournament on the World Tour. Before that, had quite a rough Hungarian Open, was told she wouldn't be playing the Olympics, was left emotionally a wreck, and then came back, rose from down low, hit rock bottom momentarily, and then pulled up for Germany. YANG Haeun, also young at 22 years old, world rank number 11, just outside the top 10, is the current standing mixed doubles world champion with Xu Xin from China. YANG Haeun's very focused, comes from a table tennis family. Her mom is the national team coach and also her personal coach. And YANG Haeun said in her off-the-table interview, one thing that she's known for, her best skill, is not giving up. She's very persistent, gets the ball back a lot. And while she has, I'd say, strong power, she's not quite known for it. It's not a very flashy attack. Lee Ching there, legendary player from Hong Kong, 2004 silver medalist at the Olympics in doubles. And Lee Ho-Ching, Cool Hand Lee, smooth, has pulled off some big victories in the past. Had some tough losses in a team's tournament at the start of last year against the defender from Singapore, Isabel Lee. Pulled off a huge upset in the fifth over Lee Ho-Ching. So Jill, I was asking you about the ball change as far as defenders and how it affected things.
Well, I don't play now, but I have spoken to several coaches and players, and they said the ball now is a lot better than when it first came out. I'm referring to the plastic ball. But the changes are very minimal, and the top players can adjust very, very easily.
So the first 2 points are split out here. Again, I think the rallies are going to become a little bit longer. We're going to see some change in placement, but both players are going to be fighting for each other's middle, at least to start. Now, Lee Ho-Ching has a very smooth stroke. I don't think of it as overly powerful. But YANG Haeun tends to play with the racket head up, shorter strokes in general. But if she gets a little bit too passive, even though she's a strong blocker, I think it's going to favor Lee Ho-Ching. YANG Haeun's going to have to look for a little bit of initiative, even if it's a fourth ball when she's receiving. Now the pressure, one of my favorite things I'd say about team play is that the pressure really adds to the level of play. A lot more upsets. We see some players that are maybe not always given the opportunity, fighting for their life to really earn a spot on the team, but to make their country proud. And if you look at the third spot in these lineups, Jang Hwa-Jun versus Park Young-suk, I think Jang Hwa-Jun is the heavy favorite there, so this is very important for Lee Ho-Ching to take. I guess it's the exact same on the other side, though. Pressure for both of them to win this match could be the decider. Jill, have you seen a lot of changes in the physicality?
Well, I think the players, past and present, are all physically fit. But I think with the game change, with the spin, they take the ball a lot earlier, a lot faster. They're running around the court, I think, a little bit more. So I think they're physically strong. I've got to have physically strong legs. But in terms of how players were past and present, I think they were fit.
Makes sense to me. It's a quick turnaround. It seems that YANG Haeun is starting to find her rhythm, figure out ways to take the aggression here. Sometimes just a little bit of change on the depth of the serve can handcuff the opponent. And that sound, the sound of YANG Haeun celebrating a point, has been coming up for the past several points. Hasn't even had to pull out the forehand or turn on the ball. Sometimes this is the safer play for YANG Haeun. And I think as a taller player too, she's got a bigger middle to cover. So the backhand takes less time on the stroke. If she has to turn, it's going to take her longer to recover. She's going to sacrifice some position, and Lee Ho-Ching is going to take advantage of that. And again, both of these teams are fighting for first place in their group. They're undefeated so far. Whoever wins will have a bye into the quarterfinals and the knockout stages.
7, 6.
The pace of play has really picked up. The quality of points has already started to look like a whole different match out here. And in the 3 out of 5, I guess you just have less time to really feel out your opponent. Joe, what are your thoughts here about Lee Ho-Ching and her strategy or tactics against YANG Haeun in the backhand game?
Well, I think both players are serving long, so the opponent can actually flick it, so they can get into an attacking rally. It's interesting when you see players that topspin it, they play the services shorter, so it makes it difficult for them to get in. So the server is always looking for a hard third ball, but with these counter-attacking players, the service is going a bit longer, so they can flick it and then they can get in a counter-hitting rally. But I think it's important that they play to different parts of the table. They seem to be playing an awful lot backhand, backhand. You don't see many that are actually switching into the crossover position, hit in the body.
It does seem like in a lot of the women's games right now, both players are afraid to take the turn in the forehand. It's a more backhand-oriented game for the shorter stroke, and that they will look for the middle, but just sort of somewhere between the backhand, the wide backhand, and the elbow.
11-7, game to Ching.
And quickly, Lee Ho-Ching sneaks it out after a very tight first 7 points each. It's 11-7. Lee Ho-Ching takes the advantage. We'll be back for game 2 after this short break.
도망갈 이거 할 수가 없어. 이거 처리하고 하트 지키는 거 있지. 하고 하 지키는 거. 애들이 또 하루 모르라고 할 거란 말이야. 그 범실 나한테 해야 돼. 그게 좀 자신 있게 해가지고 들어가면 이기는 거고 안 들어가면 어쩔 수 없는 거야. 그렇게 생각해. 어? 자.
Ching. Second game, Ching to serve, la ball.
Back for game 2, Lee Ho-Ching starting off with the serve and the lead. Now, Hong Kong in 2014 in Tokyo took the bronze medal. Korea finished below their seeding after coming second to Singapore in the group. They lost to Romania in the round of 16. It's always interesting to see how different national associations perform, even if they don't take gold. I always think Korea DPR, as many of you know as North Korea, has a very strong women's team. And in Dubai at the World Team Cup, early 2015 played the finals against China with 2 5-game matches. First one was 11-9 in the 5th. Smart play deep on the table into the backhand and opening up the forehand down the line. And that's the risk. When Lee Ho-Ching turns the corner like that, the upper body has to get out of the way. She sacrifices position a bit.
2, 3.
Now, Jill, in game 1, YANG Haeun really started turning things on about halfway through and then hit a stop at 7 points. I think the mental toughness, you know, experience-wise, there's not that much difference in age, just 1 year.
No, but you can look at the players. You can see how focused they are on every point. They're thinking about what they're doing, and I think with games, you know, points go up and down, and players go into troughs. But you know, you can see that these two are focused and fighting for every point, and not showing any emotion. And I think that, you know, that's good. You don't tell your opponent how you're thinking.
That is something we've noticed with a lot of the greats in this sport. I'd say even in Europe, where emotions are more encouraged to be shown, slightly less than in, say, some of the Asian culture, where it's, you know, more about showing respect. I feel like between Waldner, Persson, a lot of the greats seem to be, they wouldn't let their opponent know when they were frustrated at all.
No, exactly, and that's important, because inside you might feel frustrated, but you've got to keep calm because you've got to play the next point. If you've lost one and you're berated with yourself, then you think, well, I've got to carry on, keep calm. And that's the work that the players will have with psychologists in their team back at home.
And not only that, I think that once you show your opponent that you're frustrated, they know they might have an opening. It might give them more confidence to take advantage of your, I'd say, out-of-shape mental state. While you couldn't see all that, you could hear the power on that last shot. Lee Ho-Ching, that's the sound of a flat hit going past YANG Haeun. Still some topspin, but the sound is definitely a low trajectory shot. YANG Haeun very quick to cover the middle there. Turn and still get a short forehand stroke in. So YANG Haeun's really turned around the score here. Taking control second game. And we talked about how she's a fighter, between having experience in her corner. At least, you know, it's interesting, the coach choice. We've got Park Sung-jun instead of YANG Haeun's mother in the corner. Serve seemed to go just a little bit long. Lee Ho-Ching can't afford to dangle it there. If it's going to be long, it has to be decisive or a little bit shorter. And 6 game points for YANG Haeun to even out the score in games. Quick and painless procedure. Dr. YANG Haeun coming through with the surgery in game 2, and we'll be back to see who takes the lead in game 3 just after this.
흘러나오는 거 거기가 잘 보고 만약에 안 나왔을 때 이제 이후 처리하고 하시키는 거예요. 다른 거 지금 다른 것들은 다 원래 이제 패턴대로 하는데 기억해야 될 게 만약에 갔을 때 이거 하나 시키는 거 이거 뭐 이런 거 돌아서 걸고 네가 이거 오든 네가 돌아서 화로 거든 이런 것들은 패턴들은 다 不是都可以看把这个马上我是就是把中大家准备好的，而家側身拉你，用正手呢就咪最後，佢就俾把就嚟做咗時候嘅，咁咪上到。
打起来相识，他先加阵了，他加阵你别想去压，你就正常的去跟他对，你就去跟他对。发球发软一点，发正都发软一点，可以发到前台，就反手大脚也可以发一发，自己 整个人腿先到位，你重心一定要站稳。
爸爸一站那个啊，加油！
30 game. Yang to
We're
serve.
back for game 3. Yang Haeun, you saw going over her game plan in the head. Lee Ho-ching getting some coaching from Lee Ching and Tia Yana. Sounded like Mandarin there. Sounded like there was some conversation about service.
One, love.
Can you speak Mandarin?
Oh, I mean, just enough to humor some people and show respect, not enough to really make sure that there's no lactose in my meal. Trying to keep the fishing shots deep on the table. Yang Haeun looks like she was thinking, why not break it to the corner and try and counterattack? The middle of the table often a little bit shorter. Not as easy to set up the counterattack from the lobbing game.
1, 2.
Now, as far as focus, to me it appears that Yang Haeun is just the more focused of the two players in general. When you see them walking around the playing hall and in the hotel, they're both friendly. But it just seems like Yang Haeun is sort of in her world, very almost headphones on, determined, you know? And this is something I've noticed Ma Long. Try and catch him anytime during a tournament. He's a friendly guy, but if the tournament isn't over, he will not talk. He's just head straight forward. All he wants to do is focus on winning. That's something I've noticed, say 2015 really. Seems to be continuing into 2016 so far. And the world rankings will support this, as Yang Haeun at least is world rank number 11 currently. Lee Ho-ching 22 in the world, but I think both of them are moving up in the world rankings. Jill, did you have any special tricks to keep yourself focused? Any pre-game regimens, traditions that you had?
Before the match, obviously I used to keep a little book with all the players that I played and used to write down the tactics, because you played so many times with different people, you could never remember the tactics without keeping a record of it. Obviously people now would keep it on their tablet or laptop, but in my days, in a pen and paper. But before the match, I tried to visualize playing them, strokes, but winning points. So that's how and obviously music, but at that time we didn't have the devices they had now. We had big cassette players, but we listened to music. A Walkman, that's right.
I remember my Walkman. You'll be happy to know that some of the top Japanese women keep their notebooks, pens, and papers there, not on tablets. Ai Fukuhara, Ima Ito, often checking their notes between games. But the more focused player, by my prediction, is now trailing by 2 points, and Lee Ho-ching has stepped into the lead.
3, 6.
Seems like Lee Ho-ching is finding a little bit more confidence in her attacks. On the backhand side, she's got a very whippy, wristy backhand shot when she can get into it.
6, 4.
It seems that Yang Haeun has realized the blocking game isn't enough. And there's the family. That was Seo-won's sister and Yang Haeun's mom in the crowd there. If you want to learn more about Yang Haeun, you can check the official ITTF YouTube channel, Off the Table, for some of her serious life, for more of her fun side, Ask a Pro Anything. Beautiful backhand, a little bit shallow on the table. She recognizes it. I think this is one thing about the top level players. They recognize the opportunity right away and make their move. She covers that ball and plays the angle.
It's all.
Have you had a chance to see these players playing much recently, Jill?
No, unfortunately I haven't. I haven't seen any table tennis or world championships, not since I went to Japan, which would have been about 2 years ago.
That's right, Tokyo 2014.
7, 6.
Very memorable tournament for me too. I guess it was the last tournament like this, the last Team World Championships. Whole lot of drama there. Japan, Netherlands, both of which are here in top form. But there are a lot of strong teams on the women's side. I'm quite interested to see who's going to end up in the finals.
6-8.
Of course, predicting alongside China, that would be a huge shock. Can you imagine China not making it to the finals?
Not really, no.
Tough to imagine. This has really been a seesaw of the match, just back and forth momentum. You look up at the scoreboard, Li Ho-Ching's leading, and she's trailing. Now she's coming back. Tug of war here. I'm a little bit surprised Li Ho-Ching got away with that point after how long the serve came. I guess the placement on the table, sometimes you've got the corner to worry about, so even if you have a few inches of room to get a full forehand swing, still the arm isn't in the easiest position around the corner. I don't know, Jill, what are your predictions here?
I don't know, that seemed to be an unforced error there. I mean, she didn't really put her under a lot of pressure, but just a silly, easy mistake. But that's table tennis, that happens. Maybe she's feeling a little bit under pressure.
And after all those jumping shots, backhands off the table, and recoveries, it was strong, aggressive blocking from YANG Haeun to keep the pressure on and eventually win the point. There were a few off-balance shots from Li Ho-Ching in that rally. That last one, she had to get both her feet in the air. But the last one, the pace was taken off just a little bit, mistimed. Li Ho-Ching didn't even contact it. And now a game point for YANG Haeun. Fan of the over-the-table play. As your husband would say, we're at the business end of the game, and the plot is thickening.
Is that one of his lines?
One of my favorites that Don says. It's tough to avoid. I just can't think of any better way to say it, really. It's my homework for tonight. Try and come up with an equally strong alternative to Don's copywritten phrase.
I'm sure he won't mind you borrowing it, Adam.
Thanks. As far as borrowed time, those last 2 points went to YANG Haeun, and they were stolen. Strong play from over the table, and the focus and determination of the non-giving up fighter from South Korea. YANG Haeun steps into the lead 2-1. We'll be back for game 4 just after this.
기술이 없어 지금. 넘기는 사람이 이기는 거야. 넘기는 사람이 이기는데 어디로 넘겨? 네가 지금 갈수록 오른발이 더 들어온다. 오른발이 더 들어와. 하나만 기다리면 돼. 하나만. 그리고 띄우는 게 그냥 빼고 띄운단 말이야. SFG가 흘러 나오는 거 있지. 이거 지금 베이드를 걷어도 이거 딱 너무 약해. 베이드를 걷어도. 봐봐. đấu gì ngay rồi chuyển đi đấu đi ra đi phản đấu đi ra cái sao kêu lại cái đấu gì ngay sẽ chuyển đi phản cái chuyển cái sỏi được sâu 그런 건 그냥 줘야 돼. 무슨 말인지 알지? 그거는 그냥 먹으라고 줘. 이렇게 하다 스트레스 밖으로 거는 거 이런 거는 진짜 장기지만 지금 그럴 수 있는 상황이야 제가. 어? 자, 바로 짧게 이거 넣는 거 이거는 자, 바로 짧게 이거 어지 이거 네가 무슨 여기 기다려. 하나 오면 그다음 두세 번째까지 온단 말이야. 그렇지. 자.
即使你上手的话，你的腿一定要先到位，让他。
For the game, Ching to serve, level.
And we're back for game 3. Li Ho-Ching trailing 1-2 against YANG Haeun at the top of the screen.
Love.
And honestly, even though Lee Ho-ching won that point, I don't feel like that's how she's going to be able to win this game, playing so passively on the backhand, sort of the blocking game. There we go, some aggression and initiative. While Yang Haeun is the taller player, it's still going to be tough for her to cover so much ground far from the table. Ball led up just a little high, little side spin on that to bend it out to the forehand.
Love 3.
Jill, the backhands you were talking about, the spinny shots, how'd you feel about that last one from Lee Ho-ching?
Well, she whipped it up with her wrist there, and I think maybe she's got to try and be a little bit more aggressive on a backhand, as opposed to just being a passive backhand. Just change the spin, bit more power, but that whippy backhand, you know, 1 point. So why not do it a bit more?
Absolutely.
4, 1.
I think one advantage of that wristy shot too is that from over the table, one, you don't need as much backswing, but two, with the table in the way, you can still generate a lot of spin, a lot of consistency in your shot in the short game. That's why we see Fan Zhendong and some other players. Du Hoi Kim does it quite well.
2, 4.
When I think of the fast pace of the women's game, some of the quick blocks, the low trajectory on those shots, there was almost no motion there from Yang Haeun. Barely even a follow through, just times the ball right, taking it off the bounce.
5.
While Yang Haeun had the soft touch there early on, it seemed like she regretted her last shot. It's funny, without making too much noise, you can sort of see right away when she plays back the point in her head.
Yes, definitely, and she's also, you can see her thinking about what she's going to do next as well, and I think that's important to reinforce what her tactic's going to be and then follow them through.
Power on the forehand side. This is Yang Haeun's game. On the wing, she tends to be very strong. A little flip there over the table with the forehand to start the rally. And one thing, again, that impresses me is anticipation at this level. That flip was pretty solid, but Lee Ho-ching was right there with the backhand.
4, 6.
This match is so important right now that I feel like if this goes to a fifth and deciding game, I feel like we're watching the fifth and deciding match too.
4, 7.
It's your shot again, your favorite shot, the Lee Ho-ching whippy backhand with all that wrist. A little bit of a different visualization there, different body language from Yang Haeun. Smart setup.
7, 5.
Sometimes long, heavy underspin, varied with the floating deep to the backhand. Lee Ho-ching's not going to step around that ball. The ball's going to come back long. I think for Lee Ho-ching, if she can take that confident backhand off the long serve, that wristy loop, be a little bit more challenging for Yang Haeun to counter. This is something we see a lot of from both players, but Yang Haeun has been using effectively, smothering the ball when it's a little shallow, taking it early off the bounce. Lee Ho-ching sort of in the driver's seat in that point. Still with a 3-point lead here on her second serve. The final shot didn't seem like the toughest in the rally. Lee Ho-ching got a few of those back that looked like they should have won it for sure for Yang Haeun. Sort of an unusual reaction, huh, Jill?
Yes, I don't think she knew it was going to go down to the forehand side. She wasn't prepared and just sort of stuck a bat out. But then Yang she's playing the table a little bit more now, whereas at one time she was just playing backhand, and occasionally where she's moving the ball a little bit.
If she can get Lee Ho-ching that far off the table, she's in a good position to win that point. Even a little bit passively, playing control, just trying to make sure that Lee Ho-ching can't really come back in. And you see that she was taking the ball late, timing not quite right to be as aggressive as Lee Ho-ching can be. Now 3 game points to send this to a deciding 5th. Lee Ho-ching has been playing well, starting off 2016. Again, the German Open, some big wins there. At the same time, Yang Haeun wins a lot of deciding games. But that's where it's gonna have to be if she's gonna do it, because we're going to a 5th. Lee Ho-ching versus Yang Haeun, game 5 coming back after this short break.
The game, Yang to serve, the ball.
And we're back for game 5. It's tied up, of course, at 2 games each. Yang Haeun starting with the serve. Now head-to-head, these two have played 7 times in the past, and of those 7, Yang Haeun has won 6 of them. So overwhelmingly the favorite by world ranking, by head-to-head record. Sometimes world ranking isn't quite as telling with interesting style matchups. There was some talk yesterday, players who've never won a match against an opponent, how they feel coming out. But here Lee Ho-ching, I think the fact that she's been improving, it could be motivating that she has such a, I'd say, defeated record playing against Yang Haeun. In the animated body language we see from Yang Haeun, really replaying and planning her next point, saying what she should have done, sort of editing the last point, I think is a good sign of a wise player. Not only that, someone who might be a good coach moving forward, like her mother. Timeout going to be called here. Park Sung-joon is going to be talking to Yang Haeun. I haven't seen so many matches where Yang Haeun has been coached by Coach Park. It seems like he might be trying to motivate her a little bit. Can't hear anything he's saying. But that if she's caught standing upright, she needs to take more initiative. How do you interpret the body language, Jill?
Well, she must be thinking, you know, she's got the upper hand. She's beaten her 6-1.
Yeah.
3 times in 2013. She's beaten her. So, but then the youngster, you know, she's got nothing to lose. So I don't know. She's got to try and reinforce what a game plan is. And I think, you know, if you can move the ball around the table, backhand, and if you can play her out wide and look to try and get in with the forehand. She doesn't seem to get into the forehand enough for me. I'd like to say get in the forehand a little bit more if possible. But, you know, to be fair, I think Lee is stopping her getting in with the forehand. But I think she's got to try and be a little bit more positive.
So you think YANG Haeun should be looking to play the wider shots to the wing, get a forehand-to-forehand battle?
Yeah.
I think that would favor her. I mean, just from a physical build standpoint, as a taller player, should be a little bit stronger on the wings, a little bit slower to turn on the middle. And that's exactly what Lee Ho-Ching seems to be exploiting, is playing the elbow. And an inside-out forehand. You got the whole bench from Hong Kong on their feet. Lee Ching in the corner. Du Hoi Kim and the whole squad pumped up right behind Lee Ho-Ching. A lot of pace on that ball, a little bit of side spin. I don't know if you call that going Muppet when the body goes limp like that to show frustration. Looked like a little bit of a net to help her out to set up that forehand attack. And as the players have just switched sides, the momentum continues for Lee Ho-Ching with her 6th point. Jill, if Lee Ho-Ching wins this match, it's really going to put a lot of pressure on YANG Haeun and Se Hyo-won to deliver in the 4th and 5th spots.
Yes, it can be an exciting match. So if she does lose this, it's be 1-all. So it's anybody's game.
And with Park Young-suk in the 3rd spot for Korea, I mean, it's always possible. Never say never. But Jung Hwa-jun, the strong favorite in the next match. The eye contact, the cho, and the stare. In case the point didn't send the message strongly enough. Good old cho and fist pump for some confidence. Look at that. Jill, when you were playing, were people saying cho? Did they have something else that they would say?
Well, it wasn't cho. I'm sure it was something, but that was a long time ago. I'll have to put my thinking cap on for that.
Yeah, take your time. When you get your cap on, I want to know. Cho, chole, chosa, chu. Those are what we hear a lot of now. Chule, shoelace, chipotle.
Osa.
Osa. Osa.
Osa.
Awesome. Awesome. Now Lee Ho-Ching going to be taking a timeout. You have to imagine this was called from Lee Ching. Sounds like Cantonese to me. My Cantonese is even worse than my Mandarin. This might be why Tia Yana is not speaking so much right now.
I wouldn't even know it was Cantonese, so.
On, off, and wrong. Usually, as a matter of fact, no.
I'm sure you know.
Man, the face is quite telling right now. This is a sponge, deep in thought, really trying to grasp onto anything she can to pull ahead and pull through. Finish this. It's not pull ahead, but actually finish the job and not let YANG Haeun pull ahead. Was up 8-2. 3 in a row for YANG Haeun. Memory serves. Right now, YANG Haeun serves. Right out of the timeout, we'll see how it affects the game of Lee Ho-Ching. Some quality shots there. The slow, spinny one. Fast off the bounce. And now a 1-point game. This is just incredible comeback here from YANG Haeun, the fighter that we talked about before the match started. Do you remember 8-2 as well?
8-2, yes. Unbelievable, isn't it?
6 points in a row in game 5. And to defuse a timeout like that, this is a tough job for Lee Ho-ching, really trying to put on the smile, motivate and encourage his player. Oh my goodness, a huge point. And in a long, dark tunnel, that is a light for Lee Ho-ching that might ignite her to take this match, but so much effort, backhand to backhand down the middle, finally out wide to the forehand side, and a little bit of side spin on that last inside-out forehand to seal the deal. Jill, this could be point of the match.
It certainly could, but that sometimes happens when a player is 8-2 up and it gets to 8-all, and then the other player could relax, or she thinks, right, I've got to go for it now.
8-9.
Right.
And there we have it, 9-8.
Two big points, and we've got 2 match points for Lee Ho-ching to do the unthinkable and potentially pull off the upset right now. After all that fight, 6 in a row from down 2-8, something woke up Lee Ho-ching. She just couldn't take it anymore. You can see the tongue out there, the backhand rips. Powerful forehand on the short side of the table, and Lee Ho-ching with a clutch performance, really setting up that game well and pulling through after the 8-8 comeback from YANG Haeun there. A big match, and this makes things quite interesting. You're watching Korea Republic versus Hong Kong. The third singles match is coming up right after this. You don't want to miss it.